Hello Rebel and welcome back to my life. I think we all have things in our life that become so normal and routine that we don't even think about how unusual they might be to other people. And that is one thing I consistently run into when I tell people about the time I spend with my wife each night. Now listen, this video is not about sexy times, alright? I want to make that clear from the get-go. Obviously, I'm an adult, my wife is an adult, you're probably old enough to know what happens between two married adults when they're alone together. Let's just treat this like an algebraic equation and remove an unnecessary function, okay? What we're looking at today is the rest of the equation, the interesting bit. Because what Megan and I do at the end of almost every day is we spend time together in our room, we watch one episode of TV or two episodes if it's a shorter sitcom type show, and we give each other a massage. We divide the time right down the middle so each of us gets about 20 to 30 minutes of massage basically every day, unless we're out with friends or whatever. And it is just so nice. It's a perfect end to most days, especially ones where one or both of us have been working particularly hard, which is most days, honestly. Just so you know, neither one of us are professional masseurs. We never trained for it or anything. This is not the most mind-blowing massage either of us have ever received. But it's really, really good for us, both as individuals and as a couple. And pretty good for, adult functions as well. But this is not a video about that. For me personally, physical intimacy is a really important thing. And again, I'm not talking about intimacy as a euphemism. Like most Americans, I've grown up in a culture where physical contact is very, let's say, fraught. Really, there's nothing wrong with friends holding hands or putting arms around each other for longer than a quick hug. And in many cultures, this is a very acceptable and very common thing to do. Many cultures see nothing wrong with an affectionate kiss on the cheek between two people of any gender, regardless of romantic affiliation or lack thereof. But American culture is not one of those cultures, particularly when it comes to men. And so Americans, particularly men, tend to be extremely touch-starved. And that tends to make physical contact even more fraught than it would be normally in a culture where physical touching is such a complicated issue, made more complicated by the bad actions of others. So even when I'm not put off by physical contact at all, which I'm not, I know that many people are, so I tend not to initiate it beyond a quick hug between close friends. Which means that most of the time, I myself end up pretty touch-starved, particularly when most of my time is spent in this office, where there isn't even another physical person in the space. So both giving and receiving physical contact, which, again, I get to do on most days, is a real, tangible relief. As for us as a couple, well, I'm a big believer in the idea that love and romance are verbs far more than they're nouns. A relationship is not something you have, it's something you do. If you know what I mean. No, dang it, this video is not about that. Rather, a relationship is something you have if you do, if you continually perform actions to create it. And Megan and I are very deeply in love because we take this time to create our relationship. There have been times when we didn't work on that as much. And yeah, you can sort of start to feel the relationship get a little stale. And I'm really grateful that we both recognized that, and together we created a time and place that is expressly and explicitly ours, where we're dedicating ourselves exclusively to each other and sharing the experience of watching a show together, which is the only TV I watch, honestly, while also touching and talking to each other, like I think a married couple should be doing. Because here's the thing, previous jokes aside, it doesn't always turn into sex. There's many times that it doesn't, and those times are just as special, and in a way, even more special to both of us. And I do recognize that while yes, Megan and I work very hard for all we've got in our lives, we're also incredibly fortunate to have this time together and the ability to watch shows that both of us love. Which is to say that I wouldn't sweat it if that's not something you can have right now because of time constraints or something else. It's not always something Megan and I have been able to do. But if you've got a significant other or others in your life, I hope you'll try to remember that your relationship with them exists because you create it. And I hope you'll find a way, as often as you can, to spend some dedicated time creating it even more. That's all I've got for you today, Rebel. On the off chance this is your first time seeing one of my videos, you can pick up a free copy of my best-selling novel Nightblade by signing up for my email list at the link down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Bye!